Hey there. When was the last time you did an analysis on how things are going for you personally? In business, they call it a QBR, a quarterly business review. You've maybe done them, you've maybe hosted them, you've maybe participated in some of them. It's when a business takes a beat, sits down with their VIPs and their leadership teams and their C suite and decides to look at what is working, what is not, how things are going, how they're tracking against their metrics, how they're tracking against their corporate and fiscal objectives. I ask you this, do you do that in your personal life? You might want to consider doing it. Let's talk about that today. So what does that look like? In any coaching structure that you hear, whether it's Brendan Burchard or it's your Vistage chair or your elevated coaching experiences, you'll find that they look at life in buckets, as you know, right? You've heard me talk about whether it's your financial life, your spiritual life, your health and wellness life, your fitness life, your professional, personal relationships, etc. You get to decide what the buckets are. You get to decide what the categories are. And it's sort of like what you do in your business. How are you tracking relative to the metrics that you set out for yourself? This year, according to my good friend Lois Kramer Perez, it is the fire horse year. This is the year that favors the bold, the proactive, and those open to change. You will find courage to move forward, trust your instincts, and release what is holding you back. Leave your ego at the door, stand tall in your integrity, and help others rise along with you. Everybody is experiencing the year of the fire horse, which means that this is a perfect opportunity to dust off those goals, dust off that journal, dust off what you've been pushing out and you've been just postponing. Do it. So how do you know what it is that you need to look at? Well, you look at these categories. Back when I was in Vistage, my coach Ken used to have us do it in a very simple Excel spreadsheet. And it was like personal relationships, business, spiritual life, fitness, wellness and health, etc. And at any given time, I noticed around the room that there were a lot of people that had gone through divorces or were dealing with some very, very complicated personal and health challenges. And I thought to myself, there is on no planet do I want to go through that simply because this group thinks that we should all scale and grow our businesses. At what cost? My marriage? My children? My health? I don't think so. And that's when I got real clear that I wanted to maintain a certain size business that served me, not me serve it. So I want you to do the same thing. Take a look at your buckets of life. What constitutes you as a humanoid? Personal, professional, financial, health, wellness, fitness, spiritual, general well-being. Are you happy doing what you're doing? So look at those buckets and do inventory. So Katie McDonald has a day planner that I really love, and she has you looking at those buckets and those categories and seeing how you stack up. Brendan Burchard has a very similar thing where in his planner, and I've used both, you do the inventory on a scale of 1 to 5, and you look and you say, well, I had a great business month, but boy, was I cranky personally. And, I didn't really love how disconnected I felt from my body or how little I worked out or, how I felt. That's important. So at least quarterly, take a walk in the park, sit down somewhere, hopefully in nature or somewhere close to nature, and just think about your categories. Now, you can do it on your phone, you can do it on your laptop, you can do it on a sheet of paper. Just look at the categories and do an inventory. And if you're not where you want to be, you got to make some changes. So for me, I look at financial at least quarterly. And I say, okay, am I tracking to where I want to be? Am I keeping my expenses as low as I can? Am I able to live a lifestyle without stress based on some of the decisions I've been making in my financial life? Am I making the right health decisions and fitness decisions? And am I working out at that level that makes me happy? You got to look at that because everybody's different. And I know that sometimes people need encouragement to work out and to get into that rhythm. And that too is a habit. But before it becomes a habit, it's a decision. So get it while it's a decision. So these decisions are formed, I say quarterly. So the QBR, the quarterly business review, I call it a QLR, quarterly life review. Let's brand that. Quarterly life review. Well, it's kind of a simple, not necessarily easy, but it is a simple way to approach how am I doing in the following areas. So pull an Ed Koch. Remember Ed Koch used to walk around. He was the former mayor of New York City. He'd be like, how am I doing? How am I doing? How am I doing? Well, you need to ask yourself, how you doing? How you doing? So that's what you can do. Approach it like you were doing a work project. Is it on time? Is it on schedule? Does it feel good? Is it going to have success? What are the other components to that success? What are the elements in your life that you need to look at more closely in order to get a true and accurate view of what's happening or not happening in your particular circumstance? So go through the buckets, look at that, and think to yourself, remember that the fire horse year, if you believe in all of that, and even if you don't, maybe the stars are aligned for you. Maybe the universe is conspiring to give you exactly what you want. And it will only give you what you want if you're clear what you want. Remember the expression I use all the time, in the absence of information, people make shit up? Well, it's true. If you can't be clear to the universe, to God, to whoever you believe in, whatever you believe, what you really want, how are you going to get it? You're putting out a whole lot of nothing. A whole lot of confusion or a whole lot of mixed messages or a whole lot of unclear direction. You can't line up behind unclear direction. If you don't have clarity, you can't get it. You can't attract it because being unclear is like being stuck in mud. If it's not this, then it has to be that. If it's not that, then it has to be this. But you have to pick a swim lane. How big is your business going to be? What is it going to focus on? What kind of customers do you want to attract? What industries do you want to serve? That has clarity around it. How much money do you want to save this quarter? Okay, if you have that goal, then what is it going to take on a day-to-day basis? Are you going to remove the retailers that keep sending you email blasts and every time you turn around, you're adding to cart? That's behavior that lines up with what you say you want. So you need to look at what it is that are the categories that you run your life by, that everybody runs their life by, and identify where there is opportunity, where there's threats, where there are problems, and what you need to do to support what you say you want. So spend some time figuring out what it is that you do want. And once you know what you want, then you can lean into how do I get there? And then you can start to attract it. And if you believe in the law of attraction, then that's the way it is. Doors will open up for you, extemporaneous meetings with people that are aligned with you that you never really would have thought that you would have met. All of these things start to happen. And you think it's a coincidence, but I would venture to say that it's not a coincidence. It's just the universe giving you what you say you want. And once you say it out loud and you commit to it, then you can actually attract it. I spent a couple of hours with a group of women the other night going through, some life planning. They were all going to be empty nesters at the same time, and they were all close friends. And one of the women had the group at her house. We had a delightful dinner and gathering. And I said to them, use the 3 words to your advantage and use your calendar to your advantage. So when you do this quarterly business review, this assessment of how your life is going in the various areas, use your words. Would a person who is intentional, grateful, and bold make that decision? Would a person who is intentional, grateful, and bold invest in that? Would a person who is intentional, grateful, and bold even want that? Would even do that? So use that as your lens. And remember, for the love of God, your calendar serves you, not you serve it. So you need to block and calendar the things that give you joy first. Again, I know that there are certain things I have to do during the course of the week, or otherwise I'm cranky. So if I want to cycle, I look at my cycling group's website for the week and see what rides I can go on that are in my level. And then I block my calendar. If it's a Wednesday at 5:15 p.m., which is what it's going to be this week, I need to make sure that my last meeting ends no later than 4:30. And that's what's going to happen. Because I know that I got to get my ass into the garage to blow up my tires, get my GPS ready, get my bike ready, get my thing ready, all the electronics and all that stuff. And I need to get to the park by that time. And if I reverse engineer that, that means that my last meeting has to end at 4:30. I don't let the meeting go over and go, oh, I missed my ride. And then I feel bad. And then I hate myself for the rest of the evening. No, you get in front of it. You decide what you want. You decide what your priorities are. You put it down on your calendar and you work around your joy. That's how you manage a calendar. And that's how you manage a quarterly business review. What is important to me this quarter? What is important to me that I want to achieve? Do I want to do a business plan for a new entity, a new entrepreneurial venture? Do I want to invest in something? Do I want to pivot into something else? Do I want to start writing a book? You decide. And then you need to use your calendar and your 3 words to your strategic advantage so that these things line up. So get going. Pull out a spreadsheet, pull out a piece of paper, pull out your phone and your notes. I don't care how you do it, but just you just go through these things and say, on a scale of 1 to 10 or on a scale of 1 to 5, whatever your scale is, I don't care. How is it going in these following areas? And if it's not going to the level or to the way you want it to go, and you're not showing up how you want to show up, you have work to do. So reverse engineer. Where do I want to go? What's it going to take for me to get there? I invite you to do this at least 4 times a year. You will feel so much more in control. You will feel so much better in your own skin, knowing that these things are dictated by you, not them dictated to you. You know the expression, people don't like change? That's not actually true. People like change. They just don't like change hoisted upon themselves. They don't like when other people force change on them. Change is only good if we are the ones to start it. So take control, take your calendar, take your 3 words, and look at the various components and areas of your life to do the inventory. Do that quarterly review, quarterly life review. QLR. Have fun. Let me know how it's going for you. Make it a great day. Bye-bye.